Very good morning, my dear friends from Rashtrahit Vichar Manch. Say, it's very long and I have started feeling guilty of having absent from a pretty long period. I've been talking to you, your advices, your comments have been source of inspiration. Still, for the reason beyond control, I remained out. So, we have celebrated Deepavali. Now, it's Har Chhat, then Kartik Purnima. Our Sanatan is filled with the joy to the core. Friends, certain developments regarding China's confrontation, development of Agni 5, and procurement of military equipments of modern times. These are the few topics which, among others, attracts our mind, particularly those who are pure nationalist. They think of nation's security, pride, everything. Many groups and individuals, of course, they are engaged in the activities which thrills them. But we are concerned with the dignity of the nation and to discuss among ourselves to bring awareness. That is what Rashtrahit Vichar Manch does. That is the intention. Dear, China's policy of having continued conflicts with India is the backbone of that nation to survive. Because you might have seen, even USA does not have the same fervor to oppose China. And directly or indirectly, in yesteryears, the China was helped by none other than American economic policies. Of course, during Mr. Nehru's ascendancy, after having assumed prime ministership of this nation, he was purely an autocratic. May it be the internal policies, may it be the foreign policies. But he was an autocrat. The communist revolution of China and reincarnation of that country would not have received the credence or the justification had Mr. Nehru avoided his soft corner with China. It is Mr. Nehru who provided strength to communist move. This communist or communistic thinking would not have set its foot in India had Mr. Nehru not been so dedicated towards communist nation. You know, the time when Mr. Nehru accorded credibility to communist revolution in China, the West had opposed. By that time, anyhow, the emergence of India as a new nation and the contribution it has made to the world in its entirety, anyhow, paved the way. The Nehru started, and it is the Nehruvian policy that China is pursuing even today. The enmity with the nation. You must be aware that 1949, China pronounced communist revolution, and that time, while usurping, having an aggression against Tibet, there was nobody to raise the voice. May it be India, may it be any other nation. But we have a relation of proximity, otherwise a relation of religion, a splinter of Sanatan Dharma. We had every liability to oppose tooth and nail these Chinese. But instead of opposing, our continued silence and support to China emboldened them. And that was the reason when the aggression as a principle towards India was embraced by China. You know, their aggression against China was vehemently rejected by USSR. But you know, being in the saddle, having the dominance in the internal and external politics, Nehru did what he wanted. Mao, when he launched the revolution and collectivization of the farming coupled with the famine, you know how many persons perished? 60 million Chinese and Tibetans perished. Within 7 years of that start of revolution in 1949, when Nehru extended his cooperation, the China built entire border road in the Indian territory. In the Indian territory, within 7 years from 1949 and onward. What happened? By 1956, they were in a formidable position. See, the nation which was dying of the famine, dying of the atrocities perpetrated by none other than a criminal-like man, Mr. Mao, that has been embraced as a principle to oppose India and world at large. Their ambition of being the greatest in the world will be dashed by none other than India only, provided we have awareness and we have a resolve to do it. Because, unfortunately, the succession of Mr. Nehru, I never call him to be anti-national. He was an autocratic, did many things to damage the nation, but the legacy pursued by his henchmen downwards, they never think of India's dignity. And since they are not in doubt or they are not possessing either resolve or the intelligence to deal with, they do certain activities which are shameful. The only way out is to resist them, to punish them who act against the nation, and be prepared to face the onslaught. China. Now it is being challenged. Who challenges? None. Because Chinese have a tacit policy of aggression, not only militarily, but economically, technologically, and otherwise. Democracy, freedom of thinking and doing, these are the things which, if not talked about, China is better. Their ambition of having one-manship, even challenging Americans, can be dashed only by a nation which nurtures the culture for crores or for a pretty long time, the India. They can be dashed by India only. And you know, the economic policy of the US assisted China to rise to this heights. Now Chinese, having copied or secured by implicit or explicit devices, now they claim to be the developed nation, challenging the economy of the Americans. And Americans are basically responsible for giving rise to Chinese. And equally is Indian policies. Friends, therefore the one China policy is a greatest mistake, and we cannot pursue one China policy henceforth. And it is better that we have rather relinquished this. And you need to think of, no China policy. When the India was partitioned and the China, this Pakistan was created out of division from the nation, China did not agree for creation of a Taiwan. You know, Britishers, they gave Hong Kong. That is okay. They had their some types of agreement and commitment. But now Taiwan, one China policy. China having exhibited a demon-like characters, do they need any support? Do they need any cooperation? They are aggressive, not militarily. They are aggressive technologically. They are aggressive economically by assisting, and they are duping the nation where the projects are being launched by them. And above all, they are basically inhuman because biologically also they want to damage the world. And a recent example of the pandemic is a living example. So friends, the intrinsic, internal, spiritual, cultural strength India has. India is the only country which can smother and dash Chinese ambitions. And this is possible only when you lend full support with your suggestions, with your resolve, with your commitments to the authorities who want to challenge so-called Chinese hypocrisy, their deceitful character. So friends, this matter was lurking in my mind, and it was, anyhow, I was thinking to talk to you on these lines, my views, and I think you will awaken to the situation and extend similar cooperation to the nation. Thanks a lot.